When my sister got married, my parents gave her the house, the business, and every last piece of our grandmother's jewelry. I got a $50 gift card and a smirk. At the reception, my father looked at me and said, "You were always a waste of space and disappointment. Don't embarrass us." I laughed, raised my glass, and said, "Enjoy your little crap. Keep it all." Years later, I made one move that had them crying outside my door. They lost everything. And when they came crawling back, filthy, hollow, desperate, I sent them a $50 gift card and then I shut the door. Now they're screaming every day, "Please, we're finished. We need you." So yeah, IDK, where to even start with this? I guess the weirdest thing was the way Uncle Philip kept glancing at me during the wedding. Like he was checking to see if I was going to do something or maybe just implode. The whole day had this off vibe. Not just the usual family tension, but like everyone was in on some inside joke except me. My mom was all over the place, running around with her phone glued to her ear, even during the family photo sessions. And my dad kept telling people how proud he was of Judith, which is whatever, but he kept saying it right in front of me, louder every time. So, my sister Judith got married last fall, late September, like right after that insane heat wave. So everyone was sweating through their shirts even before the ceremony started. Classic Midwest church reception at the VFW. All the tables had these ugly yellow fake roses. And I think at least 3 of the centerpieces had dead bugs in them. But Judith was glowing. Everyone was fawning over her. And her new husband, Jack, who, well, I don't even like. Dude talks like he's trying to sell you a timeshare every time you ask him anything. I'm the only sibling. Just me and Judith. And yeah, I know every family has their golden child, other child thing. But my parents never really tried to hide it. Used to joke that they had one for keeps, one for spares. Haha, I got used to it, I guess. I was always the one cleaning out the gutters, fixing the Wi-Fi, getting blamed if Judith's stuff went missing. She'd screw up, I'd get the lecture. I always thought it was just 'cause I was the older one or because I didn't fit the respectable mold my mom wanted to show off. So like day of the wedding, I'm already on edge, but I'm still doing all the stuff, moving tables, setting up the speaker my dad can never figure out. Nobody really talks to me except for Amy, my cousin, who just asks if I'm okay like 5 times and then gives up. I scroll through my phone for half the reception. Judith gets this whole dramatic speech from my dad about the future of the family and legacy. I'm just there with my plate of dry chicken trying not to look bored. Then there's this thing nobody told me about. A family gift ceremony, which, what even is that? They make this big deal of calling Jack and Judith up and my parents give them this envelope. Literally looked like a check from the outside. And then my mom brings out this big box which I realize is Grandma's jewelry box. My grandma died a few years ago. House went to my parents supposedly to be shared among us one day. Oh. There's a lot of whispering. My Aunt Skylar actually looks at me and shakes her head, but nobody says anything. They hand over the house, the family business, not going to say what it is, and the jewelry, all of it, right there in front of everyone. My dad goes on about trusting Judith to carry on and making the right choices. Judith looks so smug. And Jack is grinning like he just got a free Tesla. I'm just standing there, not really sure what to do. Like, do I clap? Do I pretend to smile? I'm just thinking about all the times I helped Grandma around that house, all the weekends I spent mowing the lawn, fixing the fence, whatever. And now it's just gone. Nobody even looks at me, not even my mom, who's too busy snapping pics for Facebook. Then it's my turn. My dad calls me up. Literally just says my name. No speech. Nothing. My mom hands me a little envelope, kind of smirking. I open it. $50 gift card. Chain restaurant. Nothing else inside. No card, no note, not even a dumb joke. My dad just kind of shrugs and says not to embarrass them tonight, not to start something. I just stand there holding the envelope. Everyone's watching now like they're waiting for me to freak out or make a scene. Judith laughs, covers her mouth, but I can see she's loving it. I almost want to throw the card at my dad, but I just don't. I just laugh. Not even loud, more like whatever. This is what you want. You can have it. I put the card in my pocket, raise my glass, and say something like, "Enjoy your little crap. Keep it all." Honestly, I don't even remember exactly what I said, but it wasn't friendly. I walk away. Nobody follows. I hear my mom telling someone I'm just tired. My Aunt Skylar tries to catch my arm as I pass, but I shake her off. Someone slams a door in the hallway. Not sure who. I go outside, light a cigarette, even though I quit like 6 months ago, just stand there and scroll through TikTok. I guess the thing that gets me is this wasn't even a surprise. Like I always knew Judith was their favorite. I always figured I'd get the leftovers, but to do it like that in front of everyone. They wanted to humiliate me, make it clear I wasn't welcome, not really part of the future. I think my dad always resented that I didn't want to be like, that I wasn't going to just shut up and play along. He used to say I was dead weight, that I was only good for heavy lifting, not for making decisions. I think he wanted a second son. Got me instead. I stayed outside most of the night just watching people leave, listening to them laugh and talk about the beautiful ceremony. Nobody said goodbye to me except Amy, who hugged me and said she was sorry. But what was she supposed to do? I went home early, didn't talk to my parents, didn't answer Judith's texts. She sent a selfie from the car like I was supposed to care. Next morning, my mom called, said I should apologize for making things awkward. I hung up. My dad texted, told me not to come by the house for a while, that they needed space. So yeah, I got the message and I got the $50 card. I kept it, stuck it in my desk drawer. I don't know why. It felt like if I threw it away, they'd win. Or maybe I just wanted to remember exactly what they thought I was worth. I wasn't planning anything yet. Not at that point. But I knew I wasn't going to just take it. Not anymore. I'm not the type to just walk away and let people spit in my face. So I started thinking. Next part, if people care, I guess. This is just the start. Update 1. So, I was at the gas station like 2 days after the wedding, and this guy from my old high school, Leonard, who I haven't seen in years, just kind of yells across the lot, "Hey, Floyd, did you get the best man discount or what?" I just stood there holding an energy drink, trying not to laugh or lose it. Like, what does that even mean? But it got me thinking. The whole town probably already knew about the gift situation. It's a small place. People talk, and my family never exactly kept drama to themselves. Anyway, after the wedding, I kept my head down for a bit. Didn't go by the house. Group texts started dying off. Even Amy, my cousin, stopped asking if I was okay after a while. My mom kept leaving voicemails about moving on and how I shouldn't let a silly thing like this come between family. Classic. My dad, nothing. Just the usual silence. Judith posted 1,000,000 pics from her honeymoon, tagging every location like she was trying to prove how happy. She didn't mention me once. About a week later, my dad called me in for a family meeting. I get there. It's just my parents and Judith. Jack didn't even bother to show up. They sit me down at the kitchen table, same spot I used to get grounded at when I was a kid, and lay it out. They want me to keep working at the business, not as an owner, not as a partner, just as family. No contract, no promises, not even a guaranteed paycheck, just the usual guilt trip. Family needs you. Pull your weight. Don't let Judith down. You know how things are done. I ask about pay. My dad straight up says it's not the time to be greedy. Judith just shrugs. I just stared at them like, you want me to keep running things, fixing what you all screw up? But you can't even pretend to respect me. I told them I'd think about it, then left. My mom tried to grab my arm. I pulled away. She slapped the table, said I was being dramatic. I didn't answer. So, I needed the money. I picked up hours wherever I could, started working nights for a while just to get by. It sucked, but it gave me time to think. I realized I was the only one who actually understood how the business ran day to day. My dad just did the money stuff. Judith was never interested, and Jack was more into networking, which just meant posting on LinkedIn and trying to sound important. All the suppliers and local contacts, I was the one who did the actual talking. I started writing down everything I knew, contacts, numbers, schedules, little tricks to keep stuff running. I backed up all the info I had just in case. Judith started making changes almost immediately. First, she fired one of the oldest workers, said he was too expensive and not efficient. Then she switched out some suppliers because Jack found a better deal. I warned her those guys always flaked, but she said I was just being negative. Whatever. I watched them mess up orders, piss off regulars, and ignore half the stuff that needed fixing. My dad acted like none of it was a big deal. Said it would work itself out. Classic. One day, I was on my way out when Judith cornered me in the hallway. She wanted me to help her with some paperwork. Said she'd pay me when things picked up. I told her I wasn't doing anything else unless I got paid up front. She rolled her eyes, called me selfish. I pushed past her. She slammed the door behind me. I started looking for other options, set up job alerts, even made a new email just so my parents wouldn't snoop. They used to be super nosy even when I was a kid. I started saving every dime, stopped spending on dumb stuff, made a spreadsheet of what I'd need to move out for good. I knew if I left things would fall apart, but I wanted to make sure I wouldn't get dragged back in. I started telling suppliers to call me directly if there were issues. Making sure I had backup plans for everything. The next big fight happened at a family dinner. Classic Sunday night, overcooked roast. Everyone pretending to be happy. Judith announced a bunch of new policies for the business. All stuff that made no sense. Longer hours, less pay, cutting corners on safety. I called her out, said she was going to burn the place down. My dad said I was obsessed with problems and needed to start being part of the solution. I laughed and said, maybe you should listen to the person who actually knows what he's doing. He got real mad, stood up and shoved his chair back. My mom just looked at her phone. I left before things got worse. Slammed the door on the way out. After that, I started talking to people who actually mattered. Suppliers, regular customers, old friends who used to work there. I didn't burn bridges, but I made it clear I was thinking about leaving. A couple people warned me that Judith and Jack were saying I was unstable and not a team player, which was hilarious. My dad called me one night, tried to guilt me into coming back, said Judith was under a lot of stress. I told him I wasn't coming back unless things changed. He hung up. I started spending more time away from the house, crashing at friends' places when I could. My mom tried to act like everything was fine, but I could tell she was worried. Once she showed up at my place unannounced, knocked for like 10 minutes. I finally let her in. She started crying. Said she didn't know what to do. Begged me to just be the bigger person. I told her I was done being the punching bag. And if she wanted things to work, she needed to talk to Dad and Judith, not me. She left without saying goodbye. The last straw was when Jack tried to get me to come back by offering me a share of the profits. If I did all the grunt work. I laughed in his face. He shoved me. I shoved him back. Judith screamed at both of us to grow up. I told her to enjoy her little empire because I wasn't going to save her when it started falling apart. I left. And this time, I didn't look back. That's when things started to shift. I stopped answering calls, stopped showing up. I could feel the tension building, like everyone was waiting for me to crawl back. But I was done playing their game. I started making plans, real plans. I wasn't just going to walk away and let them forget what they did. I wanted them to feel it. To really, really feel it. Part 3. If you want it, this is where it actually gets messy. Update 2. You know what's funny? The first sign was so dumb I almost missed it. I got this email from a supplier. Not even someone I liked. Just a quick sad to see you go. Oh, hope you land somewhere better. I checked the date. It was a day after I told Judith and Jack I was out for good. No more favors. No more fixing their messes. They didn't even argue that time. Just acted like I was bluffing. I kept waiting for some big family freak out. It didn't happen. At least not in the way you'd expect. My mom texted me once, a thumbs up emoji like we were besties who just finished a workout. My dad didn't say a word. Maybe they thought I was going to crawl back when the dust settled like always. The first week was weird. I'd get these half-panicked texts from Judith about stuff breaking down, people not showing up, deliveries missing. I just left her on read. I knew how much she hated that. The next week, Jack called and said he'd figure it out. Then he blocked me. Ugh. I kept my head down, worked my side gigs, stopped going to the old place, made sure I was never home whenever my parents just happened to be in the neighborhood. I'd see their car outside, sometimes parked across the street, like they were hoping to catch me taking out the trash or something. I didn't bite. I started hearing stuff from people in town. Nothing major, just small talk. Hey man, you still working with your family? Heard they're having issues. My old neighbor asked me if I'd help fix a broken fence. Said he missed seeing me around. I went over, and while I was there, he told me the business was looking kind of rough. I just shrugged. Then it started to really unravel. Judith tried to run things like a spreadsheet. Jack tried to network his way out of every problem. And my dad just threw money at everything. But if you don't know how the place works, money doesn't help. They started losing regulars. People didn't want to deal with the new policies, which were just ways for Judith to make herself look organized. The suppliers I warned them about started flaking, sometimes just ghosting them. I heard from Amy that they were fighting about bills, blaming each other, blaming my dad, blaming me. The thing is, none of them actually knew how to do the day-to-day stuff, even the basic stuff, like keeping track of who was on shift or when the trash needed to go out. They called me a couple times desperate, asked me to just tell them where the file was or how to reset the system. Sometimes I'd answer and just say not my problem anymore and hang up. My dad called once, tried to guilt me, told me I was destroying the family. I told him he'd already done that. I heard from a couple ex-employees that things were getting ugly. Judith was yelling at people. Jack was threatening to dock pay. My dad was walking around muttering about ungrateful kids. One guy told me he quit after Jack tried to make him work a double shift for no extra pay. I said, good for you. There was this one day, maybe a month after I left, where I ran into my mom at the grocery. She looked tired, not sick or anything, just like she hadn't slept. She didn't even say hi, just stared at me like I was a stranger. I waited for her to say something, but she just walked away. The real mess started when customers started leaving reviews online. Not even angry reviews, just honest ones. Slow service, messed up orders. Nobody knew what was going on. A couple people tagged me in comments asking if I was still there, if I could fix things. I ignored them. I started to get texts from suppliers asking me if I'd come back. I didn't answer. One night, my dad showed up at my apartment. No warning, just banged on the door until my downstairs neighbor yelled at him. I opened it. He shoved me, tried to get past me into my own place. I blocked him. He was yelling about how I was ruining everything, how I was the reason the family was falling apart. He actually tried to slap me, but I caught his arm and pushed him out. He cursed at me. Said I was dead to him. I slammed the door. The next week, Judith called me sobbing. Said they were losing money. Said Jack was talking about taking out a loan against the house. Said my dad was blaming her for everything. She begged me to come back, just for a little while, just to make it stable. I said no. She hung up on me. After that, it was like a flood. My mom started calling. Jack texted me. Said he'd give me a real share if I just come back and help him keep things afloat. I left him on read. Amy texted me, said the family was a mess. Asked if I'd talk to my mom. I told her I was done. The last time my dad tried to see me, he waited outside my apartment for hours. I could see him from my window, pacing, checking his phone, getting more and more pissed off. Finally, he left. Judith sent me this long email blaming me for everything, saying I'd abandoned the family. I didn't even bother to reply. Now, I'm just watching from a distance. The house is up for sale. I heard from Amy they're behind on bills. The business is basically dead. And Judith and Jack are fighting every day. My dad stopped talking to anyone outside the family. My mom's trying to pretend like nothing's wrong. I know some people are going to say I should feel bad or try to help, but honestly, they made their choices. I gave them every chance. I warned them over and over. They wanted me gone, so I left. Now they get to see what happens when the waste of space walks away. I'm not done though. Not even close. Next part's where I finally put the nail in the coffin. If you're still reading, buckle up. Final update. So, you ever get a bunch of missed calls from your mom, your sister, and your dad all at once? Like calls stacked on voicemails. That's how I woke up 2 months after I'd left them to stew in their own mess. At first, I thought someone died, but nah, just my family finally realizing they were toast. The first message I listened to was my mom. Her voice all shaky, asking if I could please call back. It's important. The next was Judith, totally losing it, saying they needed to talk. It was an emergency. Last was my dad. And he didn't even try to pretend he was calm. Just straight up, Floyd, you need to answer. We need you. It's over. Like, not even a hello. Just that. I guess I shouldn't have been surprised. I've been hearing stuff. Amy texted me that the business was done. Like completely done. House was up for sale. Probably not going to get what they wanted for it. Apparently, Jack tried to fix things by taking out some loan and tanked their credit. The weirdest part was hearing from my old neighbor that my parents were actually handing out flyers around town, trying to drum up sympathy or maybe customers. Who knows? Imagine seeing your dad standing outside the grocery store begging for business after all those years acting like he was king of the block. I played the long game. Not like some genius mastermind stuff. Just didn't save them. Every time they called, I ignored. Every time somebody sent me a message about helping out, I deleted it. I kept my head down, worked, made sure my bills were paid on time, kept receipts for everything. I made it a point to walk by the old house sometimes just to see if they were home. Sometimes I'd see them through the window, lights off in the middle of the day, sitting around the kitchen table, probably arguing about who screwed up the most. Then came the day they showed up at my door. All 3 of them, like physically there, banging so hard the door was shaking. I looked through the peephole. Mom was crying. Judith looked like she hadn't slept in a week. Dad was red-faced and yelling at someone on his phone. I didn't answer at first, just listened while they argued outside, not even bothering to keep their voices down. My dad kept saying, Floyd owes us. He can't just let us drown. Judith was begging him to shut up. After maybe 10 minutes, I opened the door. Didn't say anything. Just stood there. My mom started begging, full-on crying, saying they were finished. They needed me. They'd do anything. Judith tried to pull the whole "we're family. You can't just leave us like this. Please help." Dad just glared at me like he was daring me to say no. I didn't say much, just told him to wait a minute, went back inside, and grabbed the one thing I'd kept in my desk since the wedding. The $50 gift card. I'd never used it. I brought it to the door, handed it to my dad, told him, "Here's your legacy. Hope it helps." Judith started sobbing. My mom tried to grab my arm. I pulled away. My dad tried to shove past me into the apartment, but I blocked him and pushed him out. He slapped the door frame. Yelled that I was a disgrace. I just shut the door in his face. They stayed out there for a while, yelling, begging, then just sitting. I watched from the window. Neighbors peeked out. Some kid took a video on their phone. Eventually, they left, but not before my mom tried knocking again. Quieter this time. I didn't open up. Since then, it's been more of the same. Calls, texts, emails from my parents, from Judith, sometimes from people I barely know, all saying the same thing. "Please, we're finished. We need you." I blocked their numbers, changed my email, stopped answering the door if I don't know who it is. Once Amy showed up, said they were living off canned soup and cheap bread, that I should at least talk to them, but I said no. She slammed the door when she left. The weird part is how fast everyone else turned. People in town started acting like they never liked my dad anyway. Some folks just flat out said Judith was always mean. Jack was a joke. My mom was a snob. I don't even feel bad. They built their own hell. I just made sure they had to live in it. So that's it. I guess they lost everything. House, business, money, respect. They're outside my door screaming every day that they're finished, that they need me. All they get from me is the same thing they thought I was worth. A $50 gift card and a shut door.